Hi guys, I hope you can hear me over the noise of the instrument room, but I wanted to take a few minutes and show you how to make a mineral oil mull for your IRs. What you're going to need to make a mull is your solid. I'm going to go ahead and use the starting material that we used for this experiment. You're going to need some mineral oil, and you're going to need probably a nice glass rod that's got a nice round tip so that you can grind it up. And rubber policeman and a spatula are very handy to help you get the material out of where you mulled it and get it onto the salt plates. So I'm going to show you this first on a watch glass, just because since the powder is white and the desktop is dark, it'll show up a lot better. Just like most of our techniques, it doesn't take much solid. I'm just going to put a little bit there. And then you're going to add, ideally to start, just a drop of mineral oil. And what you want to do now is kind of crush the solid and the mineral oil together into a mixture that has about the consistency of toothpaste. If you have too much oil, all you're going to see in your IR is oil. If you have too much solid, all you're going to see in your IR, you may not actually get enough infrared transmitted through the mull to get a good sample. So now let's see how this looks and see if it'll give us a good IR. Take out your salt plates and check them over. Make sure they're not too dirty. These actually look really scroungy. When we're using mulls, because it is oil, people don't do a very good job cleaning them off. So I'm going to drop back over to the waste hood and rinse these with acetone again. They look a little better. There's a couple scratches on these already. Remember, when your salt plates start looking really bad, to let your instructor know so they can polish them for you. Okay, so there's my salt plates. Now this is where the rubber policeman comes in handy. And again, make sure it's clean. You're going to want to pick up your mull like a spatula and spread some of your mull on your salt plate. And then one of my tricks of the trade is then I try to rub it back and forth a little bit like this to get a nice even film across my two salt plates. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and take an IR. To help you understand what you're going to see when you look at the IR of your mull, let's take a look at mineral oil by itself. Here you can see that mineral oil has 3 peaks, one at 2974, one at 1459, and one at 1376 wave numbers. It's important for you to remember that these peaks are coming from the mineral oil and not to attempt to assign structural aspects to these peaks. Here's a spectrum that's got way too much mineral oil in it. You can see some peaks from your sample, but you can see that the peaks at around 1300, 1379, and 1459 are both still really, really strong here, and makes it hard to actually see if there's any double bonds going on or any of the information that we would need to see for our aromatic. This is a case where you'd want to remake your mull and put some more sample in. Okay, the IR I took wasn't very good. When I looked at it, all I could really see was mineral oil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and separate my salt plates. I'm going to wipe this mull off. So if this mull has a little too much mineral oil, all I need to do is add to it a little more solid. And it's a little trial and error until you get used to how this looks when it's done right. So again, I'm going to try to mull this in. I might even use my rubber policeman to scrape it all back together. Now, there might be a little on the glass rod that you can go ahead and smush onto your salt plate. Try not to dig into the salt plate too much, because that's how we're going to get a lot of the scratches. Again, I'm going to rub back and forth a little bit. And there we go. Now this, I don't know how well you can see it, but that you can actually see a little bit more of the solid in there. Not sure how well this one's going to work. I'm going to go take an IR and see. Okay, so this spectrum is actually one where there's a little bit too much sample. And the biggest indicator is, take a look at that y-axis. Okay, so here's actually the base good looking IR is sitting at a couple just things we can see. First of all, we notice that the sample peaks and the mineral oil peaks are relatively the same absorbed by any mineral oil peak. We should be at 100% transmittance. Our transmittance is still a little low here. You notice it's about 50%, but what's happening is you've just got one of the nice things you can see is if you look just above the. So what you're going to need to do is take some of that off. We're at around 3,000. You can actually see the little fingernails on the left-hand side of that peak. So you're able to see a little bit of the sp2 carbon hydrogen stretch. We can also start picking out from there your carbonyl stretches, your alkene stretches, and everything else. I apologize, the scanner cut off the fingerprint region, so we won't be able to find the substitution, the out-of-plane bends for the aromatic and the alkene substitution, but this at least gives you a good idea. Okay, a couple other tricks to help you with your mulls. First of all, to clean your salt plates off, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and wipe off the majority of the oil with a Kim wipe and make sure you throw your Kim wipe away. Then rinse with acetone and replace the salt plates in the desiccator. Now, the watch glass isn't always the best to do mulls with. In fact, I find these test dishes porcelain test dishes that are commonly used in biology to be much better, mostly because your solid doesn't get away from you, can't run away from your glass rod as much. So again, you're going to put a small amount in there, and that's way too much, so I'm just going to go ahead and dip some of it out into the next hole. Again, go easy on the mineral oil. We want this IR to be of your compound. And again, I think you can see here that one of the nice things is that when you're in this little dish, the mull doesn't get away from you as badly. So again, we put a little bit of it on our salt plates, either with a rubber policeman or with our glass rod. Rub it back and forth a little bit, and there's your nice mull. If you realize you have way too much on your salt plate, one of the things you can do is just bring your salt plates over, separate it, wipe the mull off one of the plates, and just rub them back together again. So the idea is you've taken about half of the mull off, so now you should have a pretty good concentration, a pretty good suspension to take your IR. So I hope this helps. I've posted on Canvas a couple pictures of an IR of a mull that's got too much mineral oil, one that has too much sample. I'm also going to put up an IR of mineral oil all by itself. One of the biggest things you need to watch when you're taking IRs with mulls is don't assign the mineral oil peaks to structures. You need to mark those as mineral oil and then just kind of forget they're there. Have fun taking IRs, and hopefully our ATR will be back with us within the next week or so.